The day I returned home, nothing felt like mine, not the gate, not the house, not even the air. My name was scraped off the entrance like I'd never existed. And there they stood, my mother forcing a smile, my sister polishing her new car, both ready to deliver a betrayal they thought would break me. But they had no idea what I'd prepared. When I pulled into the driveway, the first thing I noticed was the emptiness. No cars, no footsteps, just silence, sharp and unfriendly. Then I saw the gate, where my nameplate once hung proudly. Only 2 stripped screw holes remained, like someone had ripped away my existence with their bare hands. My mother stood on the porch, smiling a smile that didn't belong to her face. My sister leaned against a brand new white car, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown she hadn't earned. "You're back early," my mother called out. I didn't answer. My eyes moved past them, scanning the house I'd grown up in. The curtains were different, the walls repainted, the porch tiles new. "New paint?" I asked quietly. My paint wasn't that color. My sister twirled her car keys between her fingers. "Bad news. Genius," she said. "You don't live here anymore." They laughed together, a rehearsed chorus. My mother smirked. "We sold the house. Needed the money to pay your sister's debts. You were gone too long." I nodded slowly, letting the words fall without reaction. "And you didn't think to ask me about any of this?" My sister scoffed. "Ask you? You're the one who always says family comes first." Well, we finally listened. They watched me, waiting for the meltdown, anger, shouting, maybe even tears. Instead, I smiled. A quiet, unsettling smile. My sister's face tightened. "What's so funny?" I looked up at the balcony, my childhood lookout, where I used to sit waiting for my father to come home. "Nothing," I murmured, just realizing how poetic this all is. "Poetic?" She snapped. "You're homeless now." "Maybe," I said. "Maybe not." "Tell me something. When did you finalize the sale?" "Last week," my mother answered proudly. "Got a good price. Cash in hand. The beer's name was—" "I know." I cut in. "I recommended him." Their laughter died instantly. "Because the truth didn't begin today. It began 6 months ago. 6 months earlier. It was the last dinner we had together." My sister was crying again about more debts. Bad men, bad choices, bad luck. My mother called her a victim. I called her exactly what she was: irresponsible. My sister stormed off. My mother glared at me like I'd stabbed someone. I paid the debt anyway, and I promised myself it was the final time. But a month later, while reviewing my property records, I noticed something strange. Unauthorized access logs. A signature on a bank document that looked almost like mine. My mother's name appeared in places it had no right to be. At first, I thought it was paranoia. Then I found the letter, an unsigned draft from my lawyer.
I thought it was paranoia. Then I found the letter, an unsigned draft from my lawyer, indicating a power of attorney filed under my name. Forged. That was the day something inside me went cold. I didn't confront them. I watched. Weeks turned into months of silent observing. Where they went. Who they met. How they whispered behind closed doors. There's a dangerous thing about family. Once they believe you'll always forgive them, they stop hiding their knives. So I forged something too, not a signature. A plan. Quietly, I transferred the real property deed into my holding company. The house they thought they owned? It wasn't legally mine anymore. The documents my mother accessed? A decoy, an outdated title, deliberately left vulnerable. The real deed was tied to a twin property, the adjoining plot I'd purchased and developed under a silent company. Same address extension. Same street. Same design. Everything identical except the legal description. I made sure their forged documents matched the wrong one perfectly. They thought they were selling my home. In reality, they sold nothing. Present day, back in the driveway. "You recommended the buyer," my mother whispered, voice trembling. "Yes." I pulled a folded packet from my coat. "He works for me. My development firm." My sister snatched the papers, scanning them quickly. This says the title was transferred 2 years ago." "It was," I said. "The house you sold wasn't mine. It wasn't anyone's." The sale you made is fraudulent. The buyer is a controlled entity. And the money you accepted, already flagged for investigation. My mother stepped back, color leaving her face. You wouldn't do this to us. I didn't, I replied calmly. The law will. They stared, speechless. Fear slowly replacing arrogance. I moved closer, lowering my voice. You forged my name. Stole from me. Mocked me to my face. And you thought I'd come back here and beg. I took out my phone and pressed play. Their voices filled the air, recorded from a week earlier. He'll lose everything. Let him cry. My sister's hand flew to her mouth. You recorded us? I recorded everything. The wind brushed past us, the only sound in the sudden stillness. This morning, I said, I filed everything. Forgery. Fraud. Financial misconduct. Not out of revenge. But because someday, you might do this to someone who won't see it coming. My mother's voice cracked. You can't send your own family to jail. I looked at the house one last time. You already did. That evening, the police arrived. I didn't watch. I didn't need to. That my real home, the twin property, stood just behind the next gate. Same balcony. Same windows. Everything restored exactly as I remembered. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The silence here was warm, not empty. I wasn't smiling anymore. Justice doesn't need a smile. Just precision.